Hello, Ashley, Vaidehi, Ellen. Hello, happy to be hopping on with you to the all access call. I was just outside soaking in some sunshine rays. That's been my theme of the day. And oh, I'm gonna check what's going on. Changing so I can actually hear you. Okay. Little technology things. So I was just saying I've been setting myself up to be in nature today. I have a day of leading multiple calls, co-leading calls, doing coaching sessions. And one of the things I've noticed that's really powerful for energizing me and keeping me feeling my full vitality and access to that vitality overflow is to take little breaks and just breathe and be outside and get in the fresh air. And all the trees are blooming right now in San Francisco. So I feel super lucky that this is February reality here. And definitely not what I grew up in the middle of Canada in the freezing snow. And so just recognizing the importance of valuing these little moments and little windows in time that we can give ourselves. And so those gifts that we give ourselves can really be these moments that we just get outside. And or a moment of not even getting outside. It could be just breathing. One of the things I'll do in between client sessions is just pausing, closing my eyes and breathing for 2 minutes. And just putting my attention fully over here, because often when we put our attention out there for so long, we can lose connection with ourselves. So I wanted to start off today's call speaking a little more into a tool that I touched on the leverage call on Tuesday. So some of you got to hear a little bit about this, but it came up as a point of interest for a few of the women who felt like they were really expanding a lot and doing a lot, and then feeling the kind of crash down effects from that expansion. And so I wanted to speak into that a little bit more in depth. And for those of you who are in other programs, then you get to benefit too. So this is something I've learned from two of my mentors, Gay Hendricks and Katie Hendricks. And the core of this and much more of it can be found in the book, The Big Leap. How many of you have read The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks? It's new. Okay, Alan, yes. So this is an amazing book for leadership. I highly recommend it. And there's a lot of focus in the book on doing things that are in your zone of genius rather than focusing on doing things that are just in your zone of excellence that people often pay you for but don't necessarily feel so juicy. Or doing things that are actually in your zone of competence or incompetence, even worse. And I know many of you can relate to trying to do things that are in your zone of incompetence because you're trying to set up a sales page or do something online. You're pulling your hair out like, what am I doing? And these things can feel really frustrating. And so the goal is to spend more and more of our time in the zone of genius, in this place of flow state. And we get the benefit of that as our businesses grow and we get to have more support. And you always have the support of sisterhood here. And you can reach out to your ELA sisters, leverage sisters, say, hey, I've been just totally stuck in this nightmare task. And who knows more about this than me? Who'd be willing to help me? That's a great way to use the sisterhood and make a post. You don't have to do this alone. And also, you know, as you grow your business, having an assistant, having someone that you can get support from. And right now that might be a friend who knows more about it than you do. And you ask for some time with them to support you. And this piece that I wanted to speak into relating to the zone of genius is as you spend more of your time, oh, I'm glad you're here, Kia, too, because this is relating to you. So, and Obsidian, hopefully you'll listen to this recording too. So a couple of you were asking those questions, yes. So when you're in your zone of genius and you're in this state of flow and you're doing things that feel really amazing for you in your business, you're expanding and your nervous system is expanding. And so you might experience this as, I was just talking to one of the leverage women, and she was saying, she had 3 talks last weekend, and that this weekend she has another talk, and next month she has 3 more talks booked. And how many of you would be a little maybe tense right now if you knew you had that much going on in one weekend? Yeah, so that's most of the hands, because that's potentially more than your nervous system has gotten used to. But she was in the enthusiasm about it because it's now normal for her. So this is what I want to speak to, that we get to set our nervous system's new normal, but we start from who we've been and how it's been. What's our reality? And so the way I explained this briefly on Tuesday was like a temperature setting. So you think about your temperature setting might be equal to 70 degrees, and 70 degrees means you don't speak in public. And other than, to a friend, like you're not getting on a stage, that could be your normal. And then if you're booking a speaking engagement, one speaking engagement could take you up to 80 degrees. And you're like, oh, this is uncomfortable, and I feel overwhelmed, or I feel like I don't know if I can do this, like all the thoughts that come up. And for some of you, 1 wouldn't do that. You're like, oh, okay, I went from 70 to 71 or 2, but I host a speaking engagement once a month, once every couple months. This is not such a big deal. And for some of you, it might take hosting a live event, a 2-day or a 3-day, to get you feeling like up there. So this is not about the thing you're doing, but it's about starting to recognize for you individually what it is that sets you up on this like roller coaster ride upwards. And where we have challenges is not so much on the upswing. We're like, oh, I'm going up. Oh my God. Wow, this is really expensive. Oh my gosh, people are signing up. Oh, I got another notification. Oh my God, people got tickets. This is really, like, I'm a little sweaty, but this is also pretty cool because I've been doing all this work behind the scenes and now they're coming. And then you get there and something happens. Either you get there and then, oh, 10 signed up, but now there's 2. And then you start saying, oh God, I must not have done the follow-up right, or the title wasn't really compelling, or maybe I shouldn't even be doing this thing anyway. And you go from up here to back down. And this is your nervous system's way of keeping you safe. So I just invite you to put your hands on your heart right now and say, oh, thank you. You're thanking yourself. Thank you for keeping me so safe. Oh my gosh, all my life. And you might even pat yourself around like, oh, you have kept me so safe. You've kept me out of all kinds of dangerous situations. You've kept me from overcommitting myself and doing really scary big things. And I'm ready to just test my edges a little more now. So it's this dialogue with yourself that you become willing to get out of this kind of up and down roller coaster thing and say, okay, I'm going to have these upswing moments. And then when I get up there, I'm not going to try to just keep going up, because none of us can sustain this forever. That's what we think we want, but that would actually be too much for us to take. You go from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. And the adrenaline is just burning until fatigue. And you burn through it all. So instead of doing that, you have choices. And the number one thing to do is give yourself a way to plateau. So rather than going up and then finding something to crash down, which might be maybe your go-to to crash down, is a mental dialogue, a conversation in your own mind that you do with yourself. Like, I was so wrong. I was so bad. This is what I did. Or maybe it's a conversation out there where you blame someone else. Oh, I was leaving it with this person and they didn't market, or that stupid location. If I was only teaching somewhere better, it would have been different. Or damn, those Facebook algorithms, like if they weren't changing things all the time, whatever it is, whether you point the finger in or point the finger out, those can be ways that you upper limit. The other way can be you create situations whether you think you are or not, but just notice the patterns where you get sick repeatedly, or someone in your family needs you repeatedly right at that time where like, oh, I can't do that right now. I don't have time for that. Or a friend, and just watching, how are you creating the same kind of cycle, rotating through that? And instead of blaming yourself for it or shaming yourself, get curious about it. Let yourself wonder, this is like the third time now that I've gotten sick before leading a workshop. And I remember one of my mentors did this. She would get sick repeatedly, like clockwork, the day before some big event. It was just, and I watched this happen for a couple of years, and until she caught on to it. Like, okay, there's something in me that's requiring this, that's requiring it to be this hard, that's requiring me that's requiring me to get to really show up in this new way, and something in me that's requiring maybe someone to need me. There's something in me that's requiring it to just be harder, whatever it is. And when you look at it that way without blame, it becomes now a choice. Like, okay, am I going to choose to have it be different and level out? So a few ways you can level out that are super simple and free are get together with a friend who totally loves you and isn't going to stand to hear all your negative talk. And they're going to say, you are amazing. You put yourself out there. It doesn't matter how many people showed up or didn't, because you got out there. You were in front of people. You know how few people are actually doing that? You're one of those few people. You're awesome. That kind of friend. So make your list of those kind of people, and you know, this is who I'm going to call. Don't call the person. Might be a family member. For me, that was the case. I did that a lot. Who did not understand. And he's like, oh, you did that again? Are you really going to be able to pay the bills? I mean, if nobody shows up, how are you expecting to live? That's super helpful, right? Yeah, I see the recognition. There's a few of you who've been there. So yeah, that person doesn't make the list of the integration list. So really, like, write down what are some integration things that work for you, and have at least 3 go-to. So one of them is writing down a few friends' names. It could be women in this group. That's a great place to start because they understand already. Good place to start. Who's in the ring with you? Who's in the arena? As Brene Brown would say, they're not in the arena, doesn't matter. And then also thinking about what feels really good to you, that's nourishing, that allows your whole nervous system to relax. So part of the adrenaline thing is we get used to feeling that, like, go, 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 push. And so one of the things I've been practicing is getting used to feeling relaxed. And this may sound weird, but for those of you who've known me for a few years, you may also have the inner smile about it, that it feels weird. Like, it feels weird to just sit there, to not do something, to not check the phone, to not make a plan, to not have somewhere to go, to just like, I'm just gonna have tea and read with the twinkly lights on. Like, no, with nothing else, no sounds in the house. I'm not even going to binge watch Netflix. Like, looking at those things that may not actually bring your adrenaline down. Sometimes I'll watch things like that and I can feel, I'm like, oh, what's going to happen? Oh no, that's not what and you can get hooked in. So watching something may not always be the best way, but it could be listening to a meditation, having a bath, going to, this isn't necessarily free, but if there's hot springs near where you live, or a hot tub, something you can immerse yourself. I find water is really helpful, and also forests and trees and parks. And so just seeing what's near you nature-wise that feels really good to you, if that's one of your things. And then a third one that you can put on your list is just thinking, what do you want to do to set yourself up after you have something big, like, oh, I have a talk coming up or a workshop, or I'm doing a bunch of discovery calls. What do I want to set up as a fun, reward, playful, light experience that I could give myself after that? And literally block the time off in your calendar. So are you blocking off that time for you to really get to enjoy and just bask in, oh yeah, this is my new reality. I get to try this on without the adrenaline of it, without needing to do the next thing. Those are a few things I just wanted to bring in right at the beginning today, because I can see how this is not only something that I've had to learn and practice, but that I hear it in many one-on-one conversations, in many of the group calls. And it's so important to just recognize that it's natural for us to be in this roller coaster cycle of adrenaline, and that there's another choice, that we can actually get that same kind of energy that we've been getting from adrenaline, from creativity and from integration, and that we'll have a lot more energy to give when we're coming from that place. So I'd love to just start off with a couple, I know I have some digital hands raised for questions. So just raise your physical hand if you have a couple ideas for how you love to integrate that you want to just popcorn out. And we'll start that way before we dive into questions. Any other tosses for how you love to integrate? And oh, yes, Kathy. Yeah.
I've noticed in the last couple of weeks, after I've had some Siri classes and things going on, that I just need to get into a bath with the 2 cups of Epsom salts that she recommends, and 2 dropperfuls of lavender. And when I get in, it's like all that stress in my back just disappears. It's crazy. Really been very helpful.
Yes, love it. Yeah, bath. That's one of my favorites too. Yeah, Janine, what's yours?
So I have the great fortune to live close to the beach. It's about a 10-minute walk. But sometimes I just even get in the car and drive there because I want all my time to be spent actually at the beach. Yeah. And I find that it's like I take all of your senses. I mean, the sound, the smell, everything that you see, the water glittering. I mean, it literally sweeps you away. And I live near this beach that has all of these rocks, and they tumble in the surf, and it sounds like a gigantic popcorn popper. And then you can walk along the beach, and many of the rocks are quartz. So you can find these like agate looking rocks that some of them are pink, some of them are green, everybody come visit me because I live near the coolest beach. And I'd love to show you. But anyway, everything melts away. Everything melts away when I go to my
Great, Janine. Love it. And I'm sure you'll get some interest in that invitation. Go integrate at Janine's house by the beach. Love it. One more share okay, 2 more. I see. Yeah, so Ashley, you first, and then Vaidehi.
Sometimes I need to do absolutely nothing. And I try to give myself every Sunday in general to have no plans except to rest and self-care. The last time I did a workshop event, I also had a performance the night before. Then I led the workshop and had a million other things going on, and I was burnt out and depleted. And I'm really going to try my best not to do that again in the future. But if I have proactively this habit of always having a full day off anyway, and especially time totally off around these times, that helps me most. And one other thing is, after I was done being on host mode for everyone and everything, I attended a small gathering where they hosted me, and it was food and entertainment. And I didn't feel like going, but I felt much better once I did, because it was my turn to receive and be hosted, and then I got a massage, and that's how I really recharge and reset, when I'm financially able to do that.
Yeah, another great one.
Yeah, rest, massage, and receive being hosted if you've been the host.
Yeah, such a good tip for getting to receive in a way that you don't have to show up in that leadership way, host way, but definitely Good ones. Love it. Vaidehi, you had one too.
I had a similar experience as you, Ashley. This last weekend, I had a kirtan workshop. Saturday, I had a Awakening the Love Goddess pole moon ceremony workshop. I had a photo shoot the next day and another full moon gathering. So I couldn't move. I didn't want to do anything. So I let myself literally lay in bed for like 5 hours, just doing nothing. And what I like to do and what I did was I smelled different essential oils and just like looked in the mirror and said positive affirmations. I used Palo Santo and turned on some sound healing frequencies, and then made the first priority to feed myself something super yummy and nourishing. So that's what I like to do when I feel really stressed out.
I love that. Yes, I use all those, all those things. Sounds and scents become really important, and what we're putting in our body as well, 100% really changes the experience. So love all these ads in. And I saw Juliet, you still had your hand up too. So now you've got something else to add. Go for it.
Yeah, just well, so I live near a forest, so apart from walking through hugging trees, there's a whole lot of tall trees, and they're like in solidarity. You know, you can have the most emotional, unemotional embrace for as long as you like, and there's like I can see a blog coming up, the hugging of trees, but they just stand in solidarity with you. And all of these trees, no matter what you think or feel, they are just there. They are strong. They put their roots in the ground for you. And there's a favorite tree. I run past it, I give it a hug, and I just have that embrace. It will all be okay. It will all be okay, no matter what. That tree, like somehow all of nature is like, it'll all be okay. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. And and on the other side of the forest, there's the river Thames going down to London. And I've been doing cold water swimming in winter. And just that, you know, it's really the cold water swimming, that in a way it's a sort of a shock, but you just open those lungs. You're just so in the moment. You're so alive. And it just makes you realize what you've got afterwards. So I do, and sometimes a bit of a cold shower, hot cold shower, just sensation, body, getting back into the body. So I find between the Thames on the left and the forest on the right, sort of some form of body, getting into the body, because sometimes we're just so in the head and we just have to pull it down and get it a bit more in alignment. But this is brilliant. It's a lovely way to be reminded of rebalancing, recalibrating. And there's also the Heart Mass Institute, the gratitude, just breathing your breath and going into gratitude. It changes the chemicals in your body and opening and expanding the heart. So
Yes.
I do that, which I find really helpful. Just a few minutes, because that's anyway, you don't need a river, you don't need a forest, but the heart expansion is anyway. Anyway, that's my bit.
Love that. Thank you so much for adding those in. So powerful. And I would say, yes, the breathing that's how I was actually going to finish. So I love that you circled around to that piece, that our breath is what we always have with us, no matter what's going on or where we are, what the environment is. If it's like a bathroom stall in a hotel before a talk and we're feeling stressed, or if you're lying in bed and you're feeling the after effects of event and just like, oh God, I just gotta have some rest time. So coming back to this awareness with your breath, and just the settling in with your nervous system, and coming back to breathing that is, I've talked about this before on these calls, but that's in alignment with the openness. So in the inhalation, your belly is distending and opening and your heart is lifting, and on your exhalation, your heart pulls back and your navel pulls back. Because when we do the reverse of pulling back through our core, when we're inhaling, which is sometimes what we do if we're leaning, if I was leaning over the computer like this, I would naturally be in that position, and that's actually the distressed breath. So it's sending stress signals to the body. And so since I found that out, it's really changed just how I sit at the computer and that awareness. And it doesn't mean I'm never going back into that stress breathing, but just wanted to bring in some of these pieces because as much as we go into strategy and Q&A and laser coaching, it's so important that we also get to include our whole bodies and the experience and start to get in a new right relationship with ourselves and our doingness and beingness. So I hope that was helpful, and I'm going to dive into some laser coaching, and I'll start with Kia. Kia, what's your question?
Hey,
Oh.
so I just have to say I'm feeling a lot better than yesterday. I think having that mindset shift, pointing out that it's still my choice. It was really, really, really useful when you said that yesterday of like, you know, I hear that you're feeling like you have to. And let's bring that back around to your business is your choice. So that was really powerful for me. So thank you.
Good. You're so welcome.
And then it was beautiful because I already had a coaching session with Shayna yesterday afternoon on the calendar. So I got to move into that, and it ended up being really awesome. So I've got, I think, you know, I have a weekend where I'm coming to the Bay Area to do talks, and I have it on the calendar, and I'm feeling much more positive about that. And I think part of what I want to do right now is obviously fill my program that starts at the beginning of April. And that's what the talks and the Facebook challenge and the master classes and stuff like that is all kind of geared towards. The other big thing for me this year is to just expand my list, grow my reach, you know, do that kind of stuff. So I'm looking now to be planting those kinds of seeds after my program starts, talks that I can do, groups that I can speak to, you know, kind of that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was wanting to just hear maybe some ideas or things that I can do differently in the online realm that would help that kind of reach expansion. You know, it's like I've got the free gift that I can either have some people send out, or I can do a Facebook ad for, and that kind of stuff. But that's really kind of it for what I have online.
Is that your online presence right now, is the free gift?
Exactly. So I've got my Facebook group and my Facebook page, but they're small, you know, like 200, 300 people, you know, and it's the free gift that then brings people into that group, onto my email list, you know, but that's really the only way that I get people added into there. You know, maybe a friend invites somebody, I don't know, and they randomly show up, but it's pretty, it's not very big, right? It's like, it's moving very slowly. And so what are ways that I can, like podcast interviews? How do you end up as someone on someone's podcast where you can say, here, come and check me out on my Facebook group? Or, you know, what are other ways to kind of accelerate the reach online?
Mm-hmm. So first of all, having 200 or 300 people in a Facebook group is not that small. Like, this is a great start for you to be connecting with them. And my first question is, are you engaging with them on a regular basis?
I am. It's funny. Okay. It's a regular basis. It's not necessarily a consistent basis, if that makes sense, right? So that's the part I'm working on now, is actually making it on Mondays at this time, or, you know, that kind of thing.
Got it.
I'm in there on a regular, I'm in there regularly. Like, I have a Facebook challenge going this week, and I get a lot of engagement, you know, between 50 and 200 comments on a video kind of thing. So it's, there's engagement in there. It's actually a pretty warm group, which is nice. I can usually pull a client or two, whether it's for a long program or just a one-on-one, out of there. So that's nice, but you know, I'd like it to just keep moving.
Keep growing. So a few thoughts from there. Yes, consistency will help, starting to do regular videos into that group and engaging with people. Also, you can post on your business page, personal page, doing shares, and then inviting people into the Facebook group from there. Continuing to grow that. What you're saying about getting on podcasts, you'd want to be sharing something with them, like it's a specific thing. So for any of you who are thinking about having podcast interviews, you want to approach them as, I've listened to your show. I really loved your episode of X, Y, and Z. because you were talking about this. And this is actually one of the areas that I focus on in my work. And, I was thinking I'd love to add in something about this. Like, what's a different slant? What's a different angle? What's something that they haven't had or, haven't heard? And, for instance, in my podcast that's focused on relationship, we've interviewed people talking about health, for instance, that is really about, like, what are people eating, and what you put in your body matters, so that you can show up feeling like present fully and connected to yourself. And so you don't think outside the box, that it's not like you're in health, so you talk to health podcasts.
Yeah.
Think about how does health relate to relationships? How does health relate to business?
Yeah.
How does health relate to, if your version of it relates to other podcasts in a similar kind of genre as well? So for all of you thinking about those kind of avenues, that's a really good connector point, and really, I would say, making it a little game for yourself, or a challenge to say, okay, I'm going to reach out to at least 10 different podcasts this month.
Yeah.
And see who's interested, because you're not going to get on all of them usually. I mean, great if you do, but that's unusual to get on all of them. And it's also unusual to get on them right away. Sometimes people are recording podcasts months in advance, and sometimes people are like, great, we're behind and I need you. Like, are you good for tomorrow? Like, so there's a variety of what that's going to look like. But not thinking like, oh gosh, if I did a bunch of interviews this month, it would be too much to promote. You can also let them know, oh, I have a couple other things I'm promoting. Would this be okay if we aired it next month? You have those saves.
Yeah.
And then I would say adding in more value online, because I know you want to do potentially less in-person talks and be away less. So how are you shifting some of those talks you would have been doing in person to offer them as Facebook Lives?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And besides a Facebook Live, so I was going to venture into doing a masterclass using the 2-hour workshop that I'm going to be doing at the end of February, and doing it as a masterclass in the beginning of March online, that versus doing it as like a Facebook Live series or anything.
No difference. I mean, it doesn't really matter. So you can do it as a Facebook Live series. You could do it as a masterclass and do one longer segment. Either way, the goal is to get people to sign up for something else first, ideally, if you're capturing their email. So you may want to have another free gift to opt in that relates directly to the topic that you're speaking about, to get some more interest there.
Okay. Can I ask one follow-up question about the podcasts? Aside from obviously doing the promotion, helping to promote the podcast that I would be a part of, is there anything else that I'm offering to them at the time and sort of bringing to the table?
Yeah. So you'd want to say, like, how you think, whenever you're applying to be on a podcast, you want to say how you feel your particular offering is going to benefit the community. Like, we get requests for people to be on the podcast, and it's clear that they've never listened to the show. And I don't respond. I actually just don't even bother. So and it's like, you're just sending out a blank form letter. Like, there's zero effort here, so you don't get a response. But I know I'm a little harsh. And so I would put in the effort. If someone's like, this is why I really see that this would be beneficial, and could we set up a chat about this? And for some people, like, I know Michael with the podcasting, he gets so many requests that, again, he can't, like, he's booked out for almost 2 years in advance at this stage. So you're not trying to only go for people who already have huge followings or really big shows. It's more likely that if someone has had a podcast for a year or so, then they're going to be a good one to check out, rather than if they have a huge number of followers, listeners already. You can definitely reach out and see. But if your goal is to get on soon, like during a launch, then when you reach out to those smaller ones, they have devoted listeners and it's totally worth your time, but you want to be able to offer a free gift from the podcast so that people can then sign up to do a next step with you.
Yep. Awesome. And the free gift offering that I'm sort of suggesting would be like my free gift. One of the ones that leads them into my mail
the
list.
usual ones that leads them through a sequence, gets them in your Facebook group. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Fabulous.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, you're so welcome. Great questions, Kia. Thank you. Mwah. And Sarah Coolidge, you had your hand up, but then it went down. Do you still have a question? I just wasn't sure. Oh, you do. Okay.
Oh, look, I'm unmuted. Who knows? I'm having technical difficulties.
I thought maybe.
There and start talking 10 minutes ago. Yeah. So my question is back on what you started with, Megan. And number one, that information is so valuable. And I encourage you, and I bet everybody here will vote for me saying this, that information needs to get to us as students while we're getting ready for our 3-day events, because I really hit it hard after my event, which was a big stretch for me. And I had a couple months before my program started, and I really just kind of felt like in this no man's weird land of, I know I got to fill more, but I'm exhausted and I don't know what to do, and this isn't any fun, I don't like it very much, and I was wishing that we had a little training on this is what's going to happen afterwards, so you can be ready for it. So I really advocate for what you just talked about, getting into some documents for future people, because I know it would have helped me. And then my question in specific is I am really not wanting to own this so much, but I don't know how to relax very well. And that's been a thing for me since way before sagelevine.com appeared in my life. So I am now in fulfillment, which is where we all supposedly want to be. And I'm still feeling like,
where do you want to be?
Should be doing more, should be doing more.
Everyone wants to be there. Some people prefer sales.
Well, I don't prefer sales. I know that.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to being way better at sales. I just have this like nagging, like I'm not doing enough. I should be doing more all the time. And I don't want that, especially if I really am doing enough. And so it's not so much a question, it's except for maybe like, how do you, if you do all this great integration, creativity stuff, is there a sign that you're like, okay?
Aww.
or not, I mean, do I need to go find a salt tank and just check out for a month or something?
Well, I so appreciate that you're speaking to this and like sharing what I know so many have expressed, and whether it's in previous calls or I see the nods now and they're feeling. And, this is why Sage does talk about like she does a float once a week, at least, going in a float tank. That's one of her favorite ways. And that's why I was saying, like, what's one of your favorite ways? So as you discover what those things are and you just let it be a practice, like it can feel unnatural, that's okay. But one of the ways I've practiced for many years, based on actually reading The Big Leap and going to Hendricks trainings, is Gay Hendricks calls it an alpha day, which I'm not a fan of that name. But he's a guy, he has his own way. And so I would say I call it my wonder day. And my wonder day is a day that has no appointments. No one needs anything from me. If I get messages or emails, it'll be fine. The world won't be over if I wait until the next day to respond. And giving myself at least one of those days every week.
So that scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, I had the feeling that it would. Yeah, I could.
Like, what am I going to do with this day?
Yeah, so that's why, Sage also talks about, like, she often feels like having a few hours is enough or whatever, but that's not enough for me. Like, I prefer having a couple days, honestly, a week, like to really let my nervous system come down. That's my preference, but I make sure I have at least one. And that means if someone, for me, and this is totally personal, like for you, it might be different, but for me, I'm an introvert. And I know that if I book things for myself, like going out for dinner, gathering with friends, that's actually not going to fill my cup on that day. I can do that during the week, but there's got to be a day that I am not seeing people. And so that's different for all of you. For some of you, you're like, oh, but that's what feels really good. And I know that if I go out to something, like I'm going to feel expanded and full and in the best way. So for you, understanding what are the elements of your ideal alpha day or wonder day. But the main thing is nothing goes on the schedule. So you have nothing that you need to do or have to do on that day. And that's where you start. So that when you wake up, you get to be in curiosity with yourself about what wants to happen now. Like, what do I want to eat? What do I want to do? Do I want to go to some kind of a class because it feels good? Like go to a yoga class, go to a movement class. Do I want to go outside? Do I want to just sit at home all day? Like what feels good and not coming from any place of I should do this or I need to do this. And that's especially important before an event. So I just want to circle back to what you said and then more questions, but before an event is what I would add in, that I always make sure like a weekend before a live event time that I'm not booking anything and I'm making sure to give myself that space so that I might be reading over notes or in a little bit of preparation, but this is not go time. And having those moments of total relaxation and being with myself. And some of you were at the San Diego event, and right before I went to the San Diego event, I went to a hot springs for a few days, and that was the best I'd ever felt going into a live event, coming directly from a hot springs into the live event. It was a huge lesson for me in not doing, because I was relaxed in every conversation. I knew, yes, I'd read over my notes while I was there and that kind of thing, but I wasn't coming from, now I have to sit at my desk and look at the slides and read over the roster and make these calls and do this. Like, that's not who anybody wants to hang out with. That's just, it's just boring. So this is what I really got was, Sage often says this too, it's who you're being that people want, and that's what they resonate with. And so for each of you, like what enhances your essence, what brings that out is going to look a little different. If you need to, like, Sage loves to move, like she wants to run and like get really active, and I'm a little more like put on the unicorn onesie, that's my secret, and like get in bed and just lie there. So different ends of the spectrum. But that's why I want to give you examples that there's no right way, but part of it is getting curious about finding, what is it even? So Sarah, for you, do you feel like you could give yourself like at least half a day to get started in this exploration? Half a day a week?
Well, I'll have to look at my calendar.
Okay.
Which just is the anti-answer to your question. But what gave me hope about what you said was just schedule the time where you're not going to do anything. And then when you get there, ask what wants to happen now, because I'm thinking I need to know now what I'm going to do with that time. And that's what scares me about it, because it's like I can't imagine an 8 hours empty. So get there and then see what wants to show up. Feels
exactly.
And
see what wants to show up.
Yeah, because it is theoretically part of why I'm building a business, is to have more freedom to do the stuff I want, and it would be good if I knew what that was.
That's great. That's a good starting point. You get curious, like, what is that? And sometimes I'll challenge myself to do things that have absolutely nothing to do with business too. So for each of you in your niches, what that is, like, what would that be? Like, is it going to a paint your own pottery thing? Because that's useless. Like, it's that, like, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I like doing that, but I'm saying it's not going to get me something further. Like I'm not going for a reason. And so if you're going to something with the thought, well, maybe I could go to this thing and I could meet a potential client there and I'm going to be on the lookout for that. That's a different energy than just, I know.
I'll read this book and that'll get me back. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for the time. Right. And I really do mean what I said earlier. I think this is hugely valuable stuff. And, show of hands, ladies.
Well, I'll be sharing more and more of this because this is my coaching background too. And I'm really passionate about this. And I think it's a huge piece in leadership to have these pieces. And the last piece I would share, Sarah, and for all of you with live events, not only scheduling some time before to just let down, but 2 days after your events, when you're leading something, not like a meetup or something, unless you feel like you need it, you can totally have that. But if you're doing a 2 or 3 day event, absolutely blocking 2 or 3 days after the event with nothing.
Nothing. Oops.
Yeah. So, because you're going to want to do your follow-up. And what we always say, as you hear us say, probably those of you who've been, we'll say the office is closed for the next couple days for the staff to just integrate and take their weekend whenever that is. And then we'll be back in the office for your questions. So you can set that up for people so they're not thinking, oh my gosh, I just paid money, but then she didn't write me back right away and all that. So just block it on your calendar now, because the other thing I do is, even after Women Rocking Business Live in March, I've already blocked the days on my calendar, and they're blocked busy, meaning no one, like there's no appointments that could like slip their way into there. The calendar is blocked. And I also book some time getting a massage right after and booking like a local spa place. It's like hot spring soak thing. So for some of you that might be float tank or just spending time in nature, but give yourself those things on the front end, because right afterwards you'll probably feel like, I don't even know, I'm not sure what I need. Oh, I called and they're full and there's nothing. So do it in advance, like set yourself up for it.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Mwah. Love your questions. And Vaidehi.
I'm raising my hand because I actually have to leave in 10 minutes.
Okay.
I was wondering if it's okay if I go next.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I thought you had a question.
Oh, yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. That was okay.
Great. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so thank you. My question is kind of about a challenge that I've been facing with a client. She's one of my 2 6-month coaching clients that I've had, and her thing actually ended in January with me, but we have all these like backed up sessions that she hasn't done because I hadn't put in my agreement that if you miss your session, you lose it. I kind of allow them to reschedule it within the week, but she's had like things go on with whatever issues at home with husband, then husband getting a fire truck driver getting hit by a semi truck, and then she drives an ambulance and then her ambulance got hit. And so there's been a series of not being able to make payments, not being able to meet up, and just like weeks and weeks going by, and now it's been like a month. And it's really frustrating because I really want to close the chapter and get it done and go into my next phase of new energy of clients. And so I'm in this situation where like there's all this backed up work to do. I'm so done with her. Like, sorry to put it that way, but I'm like so done with her. I don't want to deal with her anymore. And like, it's like every week I'm having to message her and remind her about her payments, about booking a session. And every week it's some story, and every week she cancels the appointment that she makes.
Okay. So I have a couple thoughts. So this is super common. I hear this all the time in some version or other, and they want you to get into the drama with them. And she succeeded because I could see you were like in the story. Well, this happened at home and then this happened at home, and none of that really matters. So just starting with that, like she had stuff happen over there and you can have compassion for it. And there's an agreement that now you know needs to be put into place at the beginning. So there's a great learning here that you're having, that the two things I want to speak to, what to do in this situation, but then also the great learning. So you've got the learning now of being super clear, making it in their agreement when you're booking sessions in my program, they're used weekly or whatever your agreement is, you're letting people know. So that's the number one thing, and that's huge. And it's great that you're getting to learn that now so that you're set up for it from now on. And for her, I would say you following up and like the continual texting and like book your session, book your session, book your session is training her to rely on that, like that you're the one and I'm leaning out. So what I'd be asking her is, I know that you've had a lot going on and I'm curious if you're still committed to coaching and getting X, Y, and Z results that you claimed you wanted when you started. So if you're dragging someone along and you feel like that's the energy, then it's not going to feel good to either of you. And she's not going to be open to receive the coaching, but then you know, because you're in this position right now. It sounds like she's not in a place right now of being really coachable and committed. So first of all, there needs to be a recommitment. And once she recommits, then you let her know, okay, so to complete, this is the amount that you're owing. Here's a link to take care of that payment. Once you've taken care of this payment, you have X number of sessions left. And I just want to let you know that, you know, they're meant to be used weekly throughout the program. And I am willing to extend those once you complete your payment so that you can really get the support that you wanted. And what that looks like is if there's 4 more sessions left, for instance, whatever it is, let's say there's 4 and you're doing weekly, you say you have the next month until this date to complete those sessions. Here's the link to my calendar, and you're welcome to just use them all, you know, once a week throughout the month. And if you don't use them, they will expire.
Okay.
Your sessions, those who started in the spring, your sessions expire at the end of March with your coaches. Fall different times. I don't know the exact timing, but it's a month before the program ends. And we always make that really clear and make announcements about them. And not everyone is using all their sessions, but it's not on the coach to chase after and say like, hey, what about this? What about this? It's like, hey, you've got the link, you've got your sessions, go ahead, book them. So what are you setting up in your business for each of you to require from your clients? This goes back to that energy again. And, you know, I've had many cases with clients where on one end of the spectrum, people are like doubling up on sessions and using lots of them, like in my own business, and using all of them, and they're super excited. And then on the other hand, I've had people like not use half their sessions and they complete and they go on their way and we never talk about it again. And that's fine. So I'm not chasing after them and they're not talking to me about it. It's like they were complete and that's it. So for any of you who are struggling with that, I would say cut out the chase.
Yeah, there was a point where she wanted to like break the contract and she was crying and like, you can call collections on me. I was like, hey, just so you know, you're late on your payment. You have 3 days and then you'll get a late fee. And then you have 30 days from then. And that's what's all written in my contract until like I have to come after you to receive the payment. And she was like crying and like, call collections on me. My husband won't let me do it. And then I ended up getting her on board to like make her own money because all her accounts were linked to his anyway. So got her on board to try to make her own payments and to not quit her vision. And so having her recommit, but then she got hit and all the stuff.
Yeah,
so
I get it. There's the recommitment and the re-enrollment, and then there's life that happens that's totally unexpected, and you get to make a choice. If you want to say, I understand, like the other option here is just to release her from contract, right? And you can just say, I understand that all this happened. I'm happy to work with you in the future when you are committed. If we chose to work together in the future, I would need payment up front. And for now, it seems like you're not in a place to follow through, and so I'm happy to just let you go.
Yeah, and one of the things too is that some of those sessions are like, we've been working on her whole script for her program the whole time, and then we were about to get into the recording of like her learning how to record her podcasts and like actually turn her program into like different media platforms. And so the bulk of the work is not done. And so for me, it really sucks because her testimonial is important to me because I'm helping her actually build her online program. And so the sessions that are left are that important point where she finally gets to materialize what we've been working on for months. And I could tell she was feeling like, we're not doing this stuff, we're just writing and writing. And now when we're about to actually digitize everything is when she's quit. So it also isn't good for me to just let her go or just end it that way. So I've been like focused on keeping her on so that I can complete as well.
This is where the resistance will come up when people are coming into their edge of like, oh, now I'm doing something new and this is scary and all that stuff. But I would just really watch your energy, and for any of you get into this where you feel like you're leaning out further and it's not 100% responsibility over here and 100% responsibility over there.
Yeah, and just the last kind of piece of it is like, how do you, like, in her case, and or just real quick, other situation with this lady who has been wanting to work with me all since last year, said 2020 we'll work together, books calls, cancels, books another call, doesn't show up. And it's like, I'm kind of done with it and tired of it, and don't want to deal with people like her and that energy anymore. And so there's like a part of me that wants to learn, like, I don't know how to be like, yo, that's not cool, you're not the kind of client I want to work with, come back to me when you're ready. Like, how do you tactfully like let someone know like not okay, and also like come back when you're ready? I'm having a hard time with like, hey, yo, don't do that, like with both of them. Yeah, with like boundaries and like having that kind of expressing what I need without coming across as like, now I'm some bitch, evil person, bad person. So yeah.
So for sake of time, because we could do a whole call on boundaries, for sake of time, I would say check with what's authentic. Are you matching what you really mean with what you're saying, or are you giving your clients a show of politeness? Because I have no problem telling people, I really value my time and energy, and I value yours. If you miss a discovery call a second time, like I'll give people a one-time chance. If you miss a discovery call a second time, it doesn't look like we're a good fit to work together, because I only work with people who are really committed.
Cool. That helps.
That's what's true. That's what's true for me, but it has to be what's true for you. Like, I can't put the words in your mouth, because you might be willing to work with people who aren't fully committed, but I'm not.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I've been accommodating because I'm like on the scarcity train with money and wanting to find clients. And so I'm like needy and like allowing this disrespect, but actually I'm so tired of it that it's making me want to pull a fine line and a boundary and be like, you know what? I can't be chasing the money, and I don't want to be chasing the money. I do want clients that are ready and committed and like ready to pay me.
There you go. That's the edge. Keep leaning into that.
That's my edge.
Clear. Exactly. That's your edge.
Oh, okay.
Awesome, Behi. I know that lots of people can find themselves in those same kind of conversations. So hopefully that was helpful. How many of you felt like, oh, that's helpful to, yep, you're in good.
And even to say like, oh, I'm needy, I'm chasing the money, and like I'm like on a scarcity train, felt really good to acknowledge how that energy is coming up.
That's the truth. Yes, that's the truth. And then you get to make a choice from there of what do you want to share. Yes.
Seriously, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking. Great question. Bye for now. All right. Let's see. I not talked to at all this week. Rachel Cooley.
Hey there. Hang on, Megan.
Oh, okay.
Turn this video off. Okay.
Getting on the video.
All of a sudden you're coming on. I'm
No.
sorry, sweetheart. My video, I'm about to send my email on my list. All right.
No
now,
worries.
okay.
You don't need to be on video. It's up to you. We can hear you.
No, I'm good. I'll come on video. So, hi.
Hello. What's your question?
My question is, I'm coming at a lot of caretaking mode with my mom and my son. You know, he's been sick for a week with a virus. And I'm not feeling so hot, but I'm wanting to psych myself up. And I've gotten myself really psyched up the last few days, really jamming on my Facebook group. So I've added 20 members in the last week. So I'm really excited about that.
Good.
And I'm preparing for my second round of my angel certification program starting in April 6th. And so far I've got like one committed person, and I'm wanting to manifest more clients for it. So, and I know that, you know, I'm getting out there and speaking will be good. I did 2 talks last week at East West, got some interest. I'm going to follow up with a few interested folks, but I'm just looking for any other suggestions for gearing up to fill, you know, my program of like 6 women. I would love.
So ways to follow up to attract some more clients for your program.
Follow up, yeah, and just any other. I mean, I know all the standardized things. I guess I'm also looking for inspiration.
Yeah, I know you know the ways that you're looking for. Definitely, you can look in the library and get some more resources there. But as far as the inspiration, I would say it's the standing in this total commitment for. Yeah. I am looking for 5 more people. Sounds like you want 6 total. So 5 more people who are my ideal client. What would that look like? And then getting curious. And this is a practice that I do every day when I'm in a launch time, of getting curious of like, okay, I would really love to work with X number of more people. So in your case, 5 people. And I wonder what I could do today to magnetize the next person. And just starting from that place of curiosity and tuning in. And sometimes I'll get a thought and maybe even think, oh, that's not, like, that doesn't make any sense, or oh, I don't know, or I've tried that. But I've grown to this practice listening to what's the thought coming through, and then committing to taking action on that. And that's been one of the biggest things that's worked for me, because then it keeps me in action every single day with something, like one thing, except on the day off that I take for the Wonder Day, because then I'm just like, give myself a break from all that. And that's usually the day that actually I get the biggest idea.
Ooh, I love it. It's like tuning into to divinely inspired ideas. And
exactly.
Being open to what they are.
Yeah, really opening up to guidance and what wants to come through. Sometimes I'll, literally be meditating, and then someone's like name or an image of someone will pass through my mind. I'm like, oh, yes. And then afterwards, I can reach out to that person and take a next action. That happened to me actually a couple of weeks ago at a retreat coming up that I'm leading in Hawaii. And I had that thought. I was just sitting and like had a candle on and was breathing. And then I thought of like, oh, this person that had commented on a Facebook post that I made probably a month prior. And I thought of her, and like, I'm just going to send her a private message because I thought of her. And I started this conversation, and within 48 hours, she had paid in full and was coming to the retreat.
Wow.
And that's one of those things where I think it's not about saying like, we can make jokes of that, like, oh, just meditate on it and then the clients will come. No, meditate on it and take an inspired action using the tools we have, like social media and emails and talks and all of that, to reach out to meet them. Because if I'd only just thought of her and thought, oh, maybe she's supposed to come and find me, that hasn't happened yet. So could happen, but it hasn't happened to me that way. And so I would pair it with, what's the next action that you could take, and just have yourself tune in every day to one thing and take one inspired action.
Love it. Thank you, Megan.
Welcome, Rachel.
So
Great
good. I
question.
love the combination. Mwah. Thank you.
Mwah. Thank you. All right, Vanessa, I'm gonna laser through. We've got 25 more minutes. I'm gonna do one question each here. Vanessa. Callahan.
Hi.
You're ready.
Sorry.
Hi.
Yeah. No, it was just, so I need to talk retreats with you
Okay.
because I overbooked a ranch for a client retreat. I have 40 spots, and luckily the amazing Cindy Watson took 10 of those spots and said, I'm gonna pull something together and bring 10 people to Sonoma. So what a great opportunity for her to use this wonderful site, right?
Amazing. Yes, I saw your post about that.
So, and in talking about taking inspired action, so I had my clients be able to bring a friend for half off, and that brought in one more person. And then I've had I run a contest in my Facebook group where there were 3 tickets I gave away, and that brought in 2, maybe 3 more people. So I was able to get like 4 more people. I went and to all the people that had said yes or yes, no, or yes, maybe, yes, no, maybe later in the last 3 months, and contacted all of them and told them I have this
amazing
ticket left, and why don't we get you there, and I was able to bring in 1 more person. So, but that still leaves me with 10 empty spots. And so 2 things. The first is I've been having friends share this post on their Facebook group, and I've drafted an email for all of my close people to just send out to their community saying, there are these 10 spots at Westerbeck Ranch in 3 weekends where anyone can come to do a solo weekend, a small group mastermind, something like that, for a set price, which is $395, which just covers the meal, lodging, and taxes for me, and the extra meeting room I'd be providing. And it's a great opportunity, and I'm putting it in front of a lot of people. But I'm sitting here staring at about $4,000 deficit of just bases being covered. And and so that happened.
Yes, it does with retreats.
So yeah, my first question is how often does that happen, where you reserve a block at a place, or and you're not able to fill it, and then you end up with empty spots, and you can't renegotiate with the venue, and you just end up taking a loss of several $1,000s? Is that?
I mean, I've seen it happen to a lot of people.
Okay.
For sure. I've helped people organize retreats for many years before I was ever in this realm. I worked with yoga teachers, international teachers, and we did mostly retreat-based work. And in looking at that, what was most often the case is people weren't charging enough per person to cover if not every spot was full. So that would be the first place I would look for you, Vanessa, to see in the future when you're reserving. Make sure you have plenty of buffer, that if these spaces are open, yeah, you're not going to make the money that you were hoping, but you're not going to take a loss.
Okay, so I wouldn't actually give them the exact amount of how much it would cost to cover the food and lodging and taxes. It would be like maybe $100 more per person, or something like that.
Maybe double
for food and lodging. Okay, so then we're getting into California rates versus rates everywhere else, and I haven't attended enough retreats myself to know what is a good value. So I'm thinking, wow, $345 for 2 nights and 6 meals is a steal, to have a room in a shared, a bed in a shared room. So really, if I had gone with maybe close to double, at least $600 for the weekend.
The double is more like, are they paying for the retreat time with you, or is that wrapped into their program cost?
Yeah, this is just for the accommodations. And I'm looking at, I need to book now, nowish, like in the next 10 days probably, my July retreat, because if I'm going to do it at a retreat center of any kind, because summer is filling up. I hired a friend to do research, and he checked with like 20 sites, and only 2 of them had availability. And so, like, for example, if I were to go to 1440, which is one of the nicer ones, right now it's looking like, even with a room block discount, it would be between, if I added in the cost for empty spots, it'd be between $500 and $700 just to stay the night. I mean, just for the food and lodging.
Yeah, 1440 is
for
one
the
of the
2
more
nights.
expensive ones. Yeah, exactly. And so I would look at right now where you are right now. Again, keep asking. What was not totally clear about your other post in the leverage page was this piece that you could just say, I've rented out a whole retreat center and I'm going to be hosting my group on part of the property, but we have a few extra rooms where you would be able to go on your own personal retreat, and like they have all organic meals or they have this, and like you're showing pictures of it. And who's interested, I can get you in at this super discounted rate of only $345 or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then in terms of like two parts about the July one, you said like 1440 is one of the more expensive ones.
Yeah.
I've been looking at other places too, though, and it seems like hard to get away with less than $500 for the weekend for people to include food, lodging, and a buffer.
Yeah, it's true.
So I'm not off. If I
No.
land there, it's not
That's
that
a
far off.
typical kind of amount. Yeah.
Okay. And then can you talk to me a little bit about, because I think this has been thrown around but not really explained as well as I guess I needed to hear it, like the Airbnb option. Like, because there's been like, well, and you can always cut costs by doing it at
So
an
for the
Airbnb
summer?
with a caterer. Yeah, for the summer one, because yeah, the March one, I'm just going to have to keep going forward with the other ideas. But
yeah, so I've done lots in Airbnbs. That was my main one for my own business coaching. I would always rent Airbnbs instead of, other than for my live event, which was in a hotel. But the Airbnbs are great because you can just choose a place that's totally affordable for you in your budget, and then you can charge people for the food portion and accommodations, but it's going to be a lot less usually. Like you could find somewhere that's $1,000 a night to stay, and then you're getting everybody's rooms, and you've got like, how many people are you looking to house?
I have 10 families in my group right now, and I'm hoping to do a July cohort to maybe add a couple more. So it might be like 12 to 14 families, but not all of them will come.
That's when it gets a little harder. So like under the 12 mark, it can be easy to pair people in rooms and have that. But when you're looking for places that have more than 10 bedrooms, so I would search on Airbnb for like the number of people, like 16 plus, say, that you're wanting, and you're wanting a space that fits that many, and then just see what kind of price ranges come up in the areas that you're looking for with the dates that you ideally want. And but I found it to definitely be a great way to save costs.
Okay, even with it catering included.
But you have to research also, again, like there's more work involved because you're reaching out to caterers, getting their prices, all of that.
Okay. So, but budgeting about 500 per person is fair, just in general, to charge people for the weekend per person.
That's usually what I did. That's usually what I did when I would rent an Airbnb and then get a caterer, is I would charge 500. And I didn't end up making money on it. It was just about covering all the costs.
Fulfilling. And then now that you're in relationship coaching, would you design it differently because you're going to be catering to couples and them needing their own room and or like they're sharing costs? Because couples are used to sort of going, oh, a weekend away, well, we're going to share the room cost. So one of the things I ran into is they're like, oh, it's 300, it's not 300 per room, it's 300 or 345
right
per person.
So I just would,
so like we're spending $700
I word
on a
it
room.
that way.
Well,
I word it that way of per couple. This price per couple, not per person, if I'm doing it that way.
Okay, so I could possibly have an individual price that's higher, like 550 or 600, and do a couple price that's like 800 or something like that. So it just does do something for them. Because I have some families where they're only going to send one person. They're not going to both come.
Yeah. But you could also say per pair, and you could come with your partner and share a room, or you could be sharing with someone else from the training as well, and just room share and save costs that way.
Okay, so if they want their own room,
then they have to pay usually double.
Then they have to pay more, pay usually double. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that makes a lot more sense for the way to structure it, so they're not like mad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last one is like, I don't know if anybody else has ever had to do this, but provide childcare for a retreat. And that just seems like, wow, a whole nother.
That's a whole nother thing. Yeah.
I mean, it like, yeah, having the site be licensed, the provider be background checked. I mean, it just feels like it opens a legal can of worms for me for my first year. So I've been leaning away from it hard.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
I would
you
encourage you to
support
keep
me with that.
leaning away from that. Yeah.
Okay.
Right now, because it just
Okay.
adds a whole another layer. Just get comfortable with this first.
Okay. All right. Well, so cross my fingers. I'm hoping to situate myself for July, where we I at least break even on the food and lodging, because for my client fulfillment, I don't mind breaking even on that part, because they're paying me for the programming through the right. Okay.
And if any of you are interested in that property, message Vanessa, because she's got space for you to have a personal retreat. If you need to get away and have a writing weekend or a work weekend away from your families, that could be a great way.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Hot tub and Sonoma, landscape and farm to table meals. I just you just feel cared for. And so I love that place. I just wish they had a minute, like I could have done a 20-person reservation and had enough doubles for the couples. That was the problem with it. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the jam, Megan. I always appreciate you.
You're so welcome, Vanessa. Mwah. All right, Rachel. Hello. Yeah, Rachel Mara.
Oh. Hi, Rachel. Hey, everybody.
Yes.
It's good to be here. I'm joining late today, but Megan, and thanks for that retreat stuff, because I'm going to have my first retreat that's like I want to do a ski personal development retreat in March next year. So I'm already thinking.
Nice.
That was cool. Thank you. So I'm enrolling right now in this month for my mastermind. I'm doing a advanced client mastermind. That's essentially people who've been with me one or 2 years. And it's a 6-month mastermind. I did the offer last Wednesday in my class. I've reached out to a couple of one-on-one clients, and so now it's time to follow up. And what was cool was I asked them, what is the why? I connected it back to what they're doing, and so in my program I have 2 paid clients, and they're both going to be, they already shared with me great things they want to do, which are other trainings, and one of them lives in Argentina, so she wants to do something local. So my challenge is when I follow up, I know that they've already got things going on, and I just feel the fear of knowing I really want them to say yes. It's a 270. I think I offered $279 a month, and it's 2 calls and one article, so it's not like it's too much overhead for me. But I'm just wondering if you have any suggestions on like the one-on-one follow-ups that I'll be doing with them. And I haven't reached out to my other one-on-one clients yet, but that's in the plan. So it's the next 2 weeks, I think I'm probably going to be doing that, and we'd start in March. Yeah.
Okay, so the question is around how do you reach out to people and offer something when you know that they're looking at other options? And
so they basically were telling me, one woman she just got a new job, and she's looking at a program in Wisconsin, and then another woman is in Argentina, and she's looking at another program in Argentina. And so I'm excited for them. And I told them we still need the support. So I kind of planted some seeds and tied it back to development. But at the same time, I'm well, I really am happy for them. They have other options. They've been with me for 2 years. But yeah, I just would love them to keep going, really.
So the main thing to look at when you're looking at renewals for anyone is really talking about the value of staying with you as their mentor, because you've seen where they've been and you see where they're going. You're holding that larger picture, and also integrate that you're excited that they're going to be taking this class or this workshop or this training, this other piece, because you see how it's really going to just add to what they're wanting, and that there's a reason to stay with the same mentor who can really oversee your whole journey, and that you really want to be there for them if they want that more personalized support, to keep being that support for them. And so it'll be important for you to name a few things that you would see particularly of where they could go if they stayed with you. And I've had that experience with people renewing for second, third, fourth, fifth years, even to continue on coaching with me, and being able to say, here's where you were when you started. Look at all the things that you've created and what you've become, who you've become. And this is what I still see for you. This is your growth edge, and I'm a stand for you. So that's the job of a re-enrollment in that case. And it's not making up in your mind that just because they're doing a program with someone else, that that's all they're going to do, because that may just be part of the big picture.
Gotcha. Yeah, thank you. So it's like it's basically you're sharing the vision that you have for them, and how that can work. Great.
And I want to add one more thing, just also sharing, find out from them what they really want for the next year. What are their clear goals and intentions? And if you were to continue in this program, or if you were to continue mentorship with me, I'm just curious, what would you want to get out of it?
Mm-hmm. So asking that first, and then see.
And then you're able to share your vision and have your vision wrapped into that, and you'll still share some other piece that you've seen that's not necessarily only related to that, because you're saying like, here's the overview of what I see for you. But it is very important for you to also say how you'll be able to fulfill on those pieces they know they want.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. Thank you. And then there's so what I was going to do was go back to all my clients from Thrive, Lead, and Succeed, the group course from last year, and just like check in. And so, they haven't heard about this before. So would you suggest, it is a renewal, but it's been maybe 6 months since they've been with me, or longer. So for that, would you recommend the same idea of just kind of like saying, looking at your goal, like you could start it out, what are you looking for in 2020? What are your goals? And actually, like, would I just ask them if they have a mentor right now?
Yes. Yeah. Well, no, that's not so important.
Okay.
It's more of like, what's your vision for this year? I'd love to check back in with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you may get to share a couple things that you remember that they were leaning into. How's that going? I remember you really wanted this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then do you think like, I just got that idea as I was listening to you, Vanessa, about a contest, like offering a seat. Cause this will be I think this is like my bridge to my next year long. Well, I'll do a year program this fall, I should say. So I was gonna I thought of that too. Does that sound like a reasonable thing? Because I don't have anyone involved right now.
Yeah, it's a great, like you said, it's a bridge.
Yeah, I just don't have I guess it would just be an email, because they some are in my group, but they don't maybe check it, or I could do that.
Yeah, you could email them, but you can also do a post or a video, have some kind of a contest.
Yeah, I don't know what the contest would be yet, but why they want a mentor in 2020. I don't know.
Well, it could be like something about sharing your big vision or your big goals for the year and one action step that you're going to do. And you could just have them write a post about it and then say you're going to randomly draw one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, cool. Rachel. Yeah. Thank you very much, Megan.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
All right, Haley, you are next. All right.
Oh. Good. Okay, there we go. Thank you. So I just wanted to follow up. We were chatting earlier today about my new signature talk title. So I wanted to just sort of workshop that really quickly and share a couple of ideas I've had, just to
let's hear them.
Nail it down. So I guess there's kind of like 3 I've been playing with. 3 steps to living your most fulfilled and vibrant life, 3 practices for living lit up and on purpose, and 3 tools or secrets to create a joyful life every single day.
Yeah, I love all of them. I think they're engaging. They're in line with your target audience. I would create a poll in the leverage group of the 3, and then just get to see what resonates most with people. That's a great way to use the group to be able to test out the titles, because I think all of them relate to what you were saying of focusing on supporting people with creating more joy. The one thing that feels like it's left out is we were also talking about impact.
Right.
Like how are you creating the impact, or maybe it's being on purpose. Like, is there, that was one of yours had that, right? One of the titles,
Yeah.
first one?
On purpose. Living lit up and on purpose, or something.
Living lit up and on purpose. Though that one is the closest one that relates to what we were talking about earlier for me. And I think it would be great to post them in the group too.
And so just kind of weaving in impact a little bit more. Do you think it's like, what I always struggle with in the niche of essentially like how to manage your emotions better is that it's less tangible than like making money or business or things like that. And so do you feel like it's still, or those three, at least as a start, are clear enough and like targeted enough versus two like light and fluffy?
It's wider. It's obviously it's broader for sure, because you're not targeting only depression, you know, with that, or anxiety. Like you're really focusing on the kind of high of it, like how to be more joyful and present. And yeah, and that's where I think the purpose piece is helpful in that title, because then that's connected to like how to live lit up and on purpose. Is going to resonate with more of the people I think you want to be working with at this point.
Okay, so kind of weave that in for the specificity of it.
Yeah,
I think that's why I was so like have been so attached to the depression niche in some ways, is because like that's very clear and very direct, and like the purpose, impact, joy is like a little more, like a lot more general and broad.
Yeah, and how to have, I mean, you could have a tagline with that one, how to have the impact you are here to make. Or you know you're here to have.
Cool.
How to have the impact, how to have the impact you know you're here for. You know you're here to have. Yeah, just getting to play with that. You can have, again, like it's not only about the title. For all of you, think about the title, but then also the line underneath, like headline, and then also having a few bullet points in there that people are getting caught by the title, but then reading the next pieces too. And like I said earlier, this is just for you, it's an exploration to see what happens when you do a talk or you do a Facebook Live without that specificity of depression, and see who comes, because right now that's who's coming to you more is women who just want to be more on purpose and feel like, I mean, I think if you want to get more specific, it would be more of like 3 keys to the first thing. So this is just one of those things that's flashing through. So I don't know, leave your job and live on purpose. Because you're going to get people in the room who are like, God, I hate what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I really know I'm meant for more, which is what you actually want to help people with.
And that's what people most commonly just like randomly come to me for, because I used to do, well, I was a recruiter and then I did career coaching and
there you go. So play with that. Yeah, play with that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Mwah. All right, let's see. Phoebe, had your hand up for a long time. No, trying to get
camera, video, lights, camera, action. Yeah, I just wanted to say that feels really good, that last niche connection there. And I love the conversation that we're having about self-care before and after and all that. This is such a great call. So my question is kind of following along with what we talked about on the other call earlier today. So I have a summit that's scheduled for the last week of April. I have a Facebook group from my last summit. And I heard you say that a challenge would be a good thing to kind of build that interest and momentum, bring more people into the group, get that enthusiasm moving forward. So I'm curious about a timing of that. I'm going to be doing interviews during March. I'm pre-recording all the interviews for the summit. So should I shoot for doing a challenge this month, or does that not give me enough lead time to promote it?
No, so doing a challenge. So your summit's going to be in March?
It's going to be in April.
April. And so you're thinking do the challenge in March?
I'm doing all the recorded interviews in March.
Got it.
I'm pretty booked already with that.
Yeah, so I think having a challenge that would come up a couple weeks actually before your summit would be great to kind of get more engagement and plan for that, so that you can then be leading people right towards the summit as the next thing.
Perfect.
With you. Yeah.
Right. And would you recommend me do, I've never done this kind of challenge or, you know, Facebook series, like Facebook Live series thing. Do you recommend that I do one to practice, or?
No, it's not really. Bless you, Vanessa.
Whoever's needs.
So I would say it's not so much about doing one to practice, because you'll still be live on there, but you could definitely do a practice session with someone else in the LA and getting to do that and work out some of the technology pieces. But it's really about just coming up with your topic for each day and then getting to go for it. And in the library, there's a exact outline for how to do it.
Yeah, for the challenge, and then Facebook Lives and all that kind of stuff. So, that's perfect, because that helps me figure out what to do this month then, because I'm doing discovery calls from my last talks and so forth. So, and reaching out to women rocking business and stuff. So.
Good, love it.
Easy, short question. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Phoebe. All right, I can laser in. I literally 8 more minutes maximum because I've got another session after this. So if you have a laser question, keep your hand up. If you do not have a laser question, put your hand down and put your question on the Facebook page so that we can answer you there in more detail. And if you have a laser question, I'm happy to just pop through. So Kathy, you're next, and then I'm gonna hop over to Kirlani. So just be ready.
Thanks. So I have 2 ongoing events, my meetup that's at the end of the month, and a winter series that's usually in the middle of the month. And I advertise these on my Facebook and on Instagram, but it seems like my page is just like post after post after post inviting people to things. Is there something else I should be doing?
Yes, that's good. So it's great to kind of do 2 engaging posts that are more just sharing about yourself, sharing about like story, sharing, you know, a photo with some text that has nothing to do with enrolling people into anything, but it gives them more of the trust factor with you and you're connecting with them. And so the more you're just sharing those pieces of yourself in addition to the offers, then the more likely people are to take you up on one of the offers.
Great.
Yeah. So more of you, that's all. Just
And I just feel like people don't really care about that, but maybe they do.
Oh, but they do. That is what Instagram famous is all about. People just watch the stories and they want to know what are you doing? And so it has to start with that belief of like, oh, I have something to say that people are going to be interested in, and I'm going to share about that today.
Thank you.
Yes, you're so welcome. All right, Kirlani, you are up next.
Hi, this is sort of a follow-up to yesterday because I did 2 videos today and I booked a discovery session for tomorrow, and I really want to laser in on this discovery session. And so in this super micro laser coaching moment, what is like the one or two most important actions that I can take in preparation to get on that call and really laser into that that essence for that person of, and I know I got some things yesterday, but I'm feeling like I really need to show up in a way that there's no wandering off on this topic, and there's no like, oh, I'm gonna offer you all these solutions because you just shared your problems so well. And and
so two things I would say for you: have a grow sheet printed out in front of you. Don't waver, don't go off in any other direction. You're going through the steps and you are in charge of the session. You're guiding them through, you're asking the questions. Have it printed out. Do your sessions standing, not sitting down, so you can feel your feet into the ground, and you've got that whole energy of like this, like just as if you were speaking and leading an event. There's a whole different alignment energy than doing it sitting. You're like, I'm here with you. And even if you're on the phone and visible to the person, I love the feeling that I get from doing those kind of sessions standing. So.
Oh, that is a great one. Okay.
You got this.
All right.
Congratulations on getting more sessions booked. Tell us how it goes on the Facebook page.
All right.
All right. Mwah. Kisses for you. Sarah S., hopping over to you. And then if we can get Jen in there too, I will. Yes. Hi.
Okay. My question is, for me to book a signature talk, how many weeks in advance should I start promoting and marketing the event?
For a signature talk, we recommend, so you want at least a couple weeks, but it's easier if you have like 4 weeks to be able to just start letting people know. So I'll usually do that if I'm booking something on Eventbrite or Meetup. I'll send out a first notification about 4 weeks in advance. And then within the 2 weeks prior, I'm getting a lot more messages out, really reminding people, messaging people.
But technically it's possible to do in 2 weeks?
Yeah, it is totally possible. A lot of people make last minute decisions, and your busiest time for event sign up is often within the 48 hours beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm looking to plan one in 2 weeks, and I just wanted to know if that's like doable, or like if you advised against that.
Totally doable for a short talk. I mean, you wouldn't want to do a day long or something like that, but getting people to come to a short talk, that's enough notice because you're getting local people to just come in. But we just recommend giving yourself a little more space. So in the future, looking for at least 4 weeks. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for your laser question. Huh? And Jen. Yeah. Do you have a question? Jen Cormier. You had your hand up. No, it's not working with the unmuting. You can post it on the Facebook page, and I see, Juliet, you don't have your digital hand raised, but I see your physical hand raised. Yes, I know you've popped up a few times. Yes.
So just quickly, I've got a bit stagnant in my Facebook page. It's not a group. I thought it was a group, but it's actually a page, and it's just where do I start with content where it's been a while, and I had a video in the beginning announcing what I was doing, and what I'm in a paralysis analysis with it, because there's a few people liked from the group from here, but it's like, in one sense, I have so much content, I don't know where to start, and and it's to do with relationships and the Enneagram. So the Enneagram is a modality, so I don't know whether to do Enneagram content or relationships or both, or it's the analysis paralysis of where to just start getting momentum to post and getting regular with that.
In the group, right? And so what's the group called?
It's actually, I don't know if I've got a group yet. I've just got a page. I thought I had a group, and I realized it's actually a page because it says community, but actually I don't have a group. It's just a page.
Okay, great, no problem. So you just want to post more regularly there, and the main thing is, I know you help people in relationship. Yeah,
so that's the message, because it's any kind of relationship. I mean,
So I would just be focusing on that piece, like some different elements of relationship, posting videos and content, rather than saying, you know, learn about Enneagram type 4, which I totally would click on those things. But it's the modality,
Okay.
right? If you're focusing on getting people in relationship, like it could be like, do you notice that your partner is like really emotional and you know, you're feeling kind of walled off? Like, learn about how the lenses we see each other through really make a difference.
Exactly. So the brand,
mention the Enneagram in there.
Yeah. So the brand name that I work under is a relationship translator, because it's exactly what you're saying. It's about these underpinning dynamics that is not just about gender wiring, because that's what I'm working on too, gender wiring and the type structure underneath. And I'm bringing those two levels together. But so it's talking about the dynamics, focusing on the translating, but that's what my brand name is.
Great. Yeah. So keep focusing on that as the overarching piece, and then you can weave in your modalities underneath when you're getting people through the door with the topic.
So whether, hey, if you're a woman and you're struggling with a guy, what's going on for you, and what's going on? What are your needs as a woman? What are you communicating? What are you not communicating? So then I'm bringing in the gender wiring versus the type structure.
Yeah, if you're communicating with heterosexual couples, then you would word it that way.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, that's great. Thanks, that's helpful. Great.
All right, thanks, Juliet. Mwah. All right, stretching your arms. You can unmute yourself. I'm going to unmute you all. This might get okay. Unmuted, stretching your arms, and just let yourself wiggle. Make any sound that matches how you feel right now. Your melter and wiggling gets us out of our just sitting and being all focused and it's really good if you can keep it going for 2 minutes. So I recommend that you just let yourself keep moving for at least 2 minutes before you move into your next thing of the day. And if we didn't get to your, or if I didn't get to your question today, I'm sorry. And we will get to them on the Facebook page. So go ahead and post in your Facebook groups. Coaches will respond. And I look forward to seeing you all soon. Mwah! Bye. Have a beautiful day. Thanks, Megan. Thank you.
Bye, sisters.